Okay, moving right along to our next exponent property, which is the quotient of powers. So quotient is the answer to a division problem. So each one of these is going to be bases that are being divided. Okay, so quotient of powers, you need to subtract the exponents if they have the same base. Okay, so these are all going to be division and going to need to subtract your exponents as long as the bases are the same. So for each one of these, we're going to set them up horizontally versus vertically so you could actually see what's going on. Okay, so we have A, 2 to the 9th divided by 2 to the 6th. So your first base and exponent is going to go on top. Draw your fraction bar to show division, and then the one that comes second is going to go on the bottom. Okay, so we have 2 to the 9th divided by 2 to the 6th. So the rule is subtract your exponents, so 9 minus 6, and we get 2 to the 3rd. Okay, if you wanted to simplify 2 to the 3rd, you could. It would just be 8. Remember, this is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 4 times 2, which is 8. It is not 2 times 3, which equals 6. Looking at B, negative 7 to the 5th divided by negative 7. Remember, if there's no exponent here, that means there's an exponent of 1. So this is really negative 7th to the 5th divided by negative 7 to the 1st. Our bases are the same. They're both negative 7. And then we're going to subtract our exponents, 5 minus 1. So our answer is negative 7 to the 4th. Okay, I would keep negative 7 to the 4th as your answer, because otherwise it's going to be a big number. It's going to be negative 2,401. Okay, and then your next one, C, 3.5 to the 8th divided by 3.5 to the 6th. So 3.5 to the 8th, fraction bar, 3.5 to the 6th. Your bases are the same. It is 3.5. You are subtracting your exponents, 8 minus 6. So your answer is 3.5 to the 2nd power. Okay? So go ahead and try your practice problems. All right, so we have 10 to the 8th divided by 10 to the 5th. So that's 10 to the 8 minus 5, which equals 10 to the 3rd. Next one, 2.7 to the 9th divided by 2.7 to the 6th. So that's 2.7 to the 9 minus 6, which gives you 2.7 to the 3rd. Next one, we have 5/8 to the 6th over 5/8. Remember, that's actually to the 1st power. So you have 5/8 to the 6 minus 1, which gives us 5/8 to the 5th power. Okay, then looking at our next examples, these are the same rule, except we just have more than one base, essentially. So if we look at A, we have h to the 6th times k to the 2nd divided by h to the 5th times k. So I'm going to set that up using my fraction bar. So I have h to the 6th, k to the 2nd divided by h to the 5th and k. Remember, if there's not an exponent there, there's 1. So keeping your bases together, I have two h's. I have h to the 5th and h to the 6th. So that's going to give me h to the 1st. Okay? And then I have k to the 2nd minus the 1st, so that's k to the 1st. Or you're not going to see the exponents, so it's just going to be hk as your final answer. Remember, if there's an exponent of 1, you don't need to write that. Okay, B, we have 28 times m to the 7th times n to the 4th divided by 7 times m to the 3rd, n to the 2nd. So go ahead and stack those, 28m to the 7th, n to the 4th, divided by 7, m to the 3rd, n to the 2nd. Okay, so we have 28 divided by 7. We could actually go ahead and do that since those are numbers. 28 divided by 7 is 4. Then we'll go to our m's. So we have m to the 7 minus 3, and then n to the 4 minus 2. So our final answer is 4, m to the 4th, n to the 2nd. Okay, again, when you see two numbers stacked on top of each other, you could go ahead and divide that. Okay, so go ahead and try the two practice problems. R to the 8th times s to the 6th divided by r to the 5th times s to the 4th. And then 63 times x to the 9th times y to the 7th divided by 9 times x to the 3rd times y to the 4th. All right, so we have r to the 8th, s to the 6th, divided by r to the 5th, s to the 4th. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start with our r's, subtract 8 minus 6 to get r to the 2nd. Then move to your s's, subtract 6 minus 4 gives you s to the 2nd. So r to the 2nd times s to the 2nd. Next one, we got 63, x to the 9th, y to the 7th, divided by 9, x to the 3rd, y to the 4th. Okay, so we can go ahead and divide 63 divided by 9, that gives you 7. Then we have x to the 9 minus 3, and then y to the 7 minus 4. So 7x to the 6th, y to the 3rd is your final answer for that one. Okay, so if you're dividing by the same base, different exponents, you could go ahead and subtract your exponents. So I'm scrolling back up here so we could fill in our next box on the front page. So the quotient property, if the bases are the same, you subtract the exponents. So we have a to the m over a to the n, which equals a to the m minus n. Okay, and some examples. How about x to the 5th divided by x? So we know that's x to the 5th over x to the 1st. And then we could go ahead and subtract. 5 minus 1 is 4. Okay, so we have 5 to the 6th divided by 5 to the 3rd. We'll put 5 to the 6th on top, 5 to the 3rd on the bottom, and then we're going to subtract, so we end up with 5 to the 3rd as your final answer. And remember, we could do that with two bases. Let's do 25 times x to the 3rd divided by 5x to the 2nd. So we got 25x to the 3rd over 5x to the 2nd. So 25 divided by 5 is 5. 3 minus 2 is 1, so it's 5x as your answer.